play this week?
If we had a game this week, I would be playing this week. Absolutely. You kidding me?
Can you take us into a little bit what you had done and what it's been like, kind of playing through that, whatever it was?
Yeah, I had a little broken bone in there. So they went and took it out and cleaned it up. Obviously, not ideal situation, painful throughout the weeks, but again, game day, different story. Just being able to put that to the side and just go out there and play football.
When did it happen? Was it the Cleveland game that happened?
Yes, yeah. It not to get into the weeds of it, but it's been an older injury, but just aggravated it there and just a little ticked off at me. So.
Which bone?
Fifth metatarsal, I think is what it's called. Yeah.
Can you spell metatarsal?
Metatarsal, MetatarsaL, I think. Yeah.
Joe Brady, obviously you sat in on all of these interviews. What stood out about his interview to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think the realness that he has, I've been able to live it in the quarterback room for the last, 3.5, 4 seasons. He's a real human that guys can get behind and understand and play for. I thought in his interview, the vision that he had for this team, and again, I'm sitting in these interviews and I'm not the one making the decision, right? I'm there to inquire, to learn, to bring a different perspective to the decision makers that were in that room, and taking the personal out of it and taking the emotion out of it and trying to look at it from a logical lens. It was a unique perspective. It was a cool learning experience for me that, I'm very fortunate to be regarded as to being wanted in that room. And I don't take that lightly. So it was a cool experience. It was a little awkward there at first, because I remember not too long ago, I'm sitting in the train station at the combine being interviewed by, coaches and owners, and to now be kind of on the other side of that table it was definitely a weird thing to understand. But again, I'm very thankful that, my input at least is heard, and whether they used anything that I had to say in their decision making or not, it's just cool to be in that room.
Josh, just to go back to your injury, when do you expect to be off crutches? I guess maybe golfing.
I'm not even lying. If we had to play a game this week, I would figure it out to play a game. So it's a little painful right now, but it wasn't a crazy surgery. Yeah, so not too long. OTAs, I'll be back, and it shouldn't hinder anything.
To follow up on the other thing, last time we saw you, you were very emotional at the podium. A lot has happened since. How did you respond when you learned the news of how much more emotional did you get when you heard the news of Sean being fired and
yeah,
in the wake of all this?
Very, very emotional. It was a time where, again, I'm sitting in my house. I wake up to a call from Mr. Pagola telling me that it's telling me what had transpired, and I called Coach McDermott immediately, and I've got nothing but love and respect for Coach McDermott. The last, 8 years of my life, he's been through ups and downs of me as a player, as a person. He's seen me grow up in a sense, and to know that, again, we've had a lot of success here, and I'd be lying to you if I'm sitting here saying that I feel like I had part in it, because if I make one more play that game in Denver, we're probably not having this press conference right now. We're probably not making a change, and in all honesty, we're probably getting ready to play another game, and that's the hard part to take in from my perspective. But that's reality. It is what it is now, and I am very fortunate and thankful for Coach McDermott and everything that he's done and the trajectory that he's set here for our players. At that same time, I'm very looking forward to Joe and everything that entails with him becoming the head coach, and guys getting behind him and rallying behind him and understanding his vision. because I do believe in it. I do believe in what he had talked about in his meetings, what he's talked about really the last few years that he's been in the quarterback room, of just the mindset that he has, the togetherness, being you with us. I can go on and on about how good of a coach I think Joe is, but he's also a great human being. He's a family man. He's a leader. And I think that our guys will respond positively to this.
And Josh, sorry about that. From a human side, the last time we saw you, you said this is going to take a long time for me to get over. Where are you from a processing standpoint? Are you still trying to take it all in? Are you trying to push it forward? Like where are you right now?
No, I mean, I'm still trying to take it all in. Obviously, this last week and a half has been an absolute whirlwind because of the interviews and having the surgery and expecting a baby. Like there's just so many elements that come into play. But just trying to take it one day at a time. But I'd be lying to you if I didn't say that I'm still sick to my stomach about how the season ended. And it's. Again, we live in reality, and it is what it is now, and we have to come to grips with that. And I feel like as days go by, I become more in touch with reality. And again, just trying to do whatever it takes to, one, move forward, but two, to understand how to get past, what we're trying to get past. And obviously, we want to win a Super Bowl here. That's my main goal, and everything that I do. Everything I've done really, but everything that I continue to do moving forward is going to be tailored around what can I do to help this team win the Super Bowl, and making sure that, I know that we heard Joe and Bean talk about alignment, but making sure that I'm aligned with Joe, and if there's anything that I can do to help him as a head coach / play caller, if it's more meeting time, if it's more walkthroughs with the guys, whatever the case may be. And he, I looked at him the other day and he promised me and I promised him to hold each other to a standard and hold each other accountable and not get complacent of where we're at. So I'm very, very much looking forward to that challenge, and continuing the chase and to chase something great, and that is to bring a Lombardi Trophy here to Western New York.
You mentioned in that press conference in Denver how it had been a long season, and that was clearly contributing to your emotions. Like, what about this season in particular, stood out to you in that way?
I mean, some of the injury stuff, battling through it. Again, just learning curves of trends across the league, how we're winning. Some tough losses, but again, some games that we ended up winning at the end that maybe we shouldn't have been in. And again, staying through it. Those games take an emotional toll on you when you're just sitting there waiting for your chance to strike. And we were fortunate to I think win more than not. Throughout the regular season, we didn't win our division for the first time in the last so many years. Coming to grips with that of, all right, just get us in the dance, get us a chance in the playoffs. And, we felt like we had a chance and we felt like we had the team. And I still believe that we had the team to win the Super Bowl. And again, we didn't make one more play, and that's pointing the thumb right at me. So again, everything moving forward is, again, how do I clean my stuff up? How do I be the best quarterback, the best teammate, the best leader that I can be for the Buffalo Bills moving forward? What does that look like? It's asking questions. It's being uncomfortable with some of those answers, and then adapting and moving forward based on that.
Josh, as well as you know Joe, were there moments you were listening to him when they were going into detail that surprised you or things you didn't know, and then you realized those were the things maybe that put him over the top to be the head coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, talking about that lens of let's go into this interview not knowing who he is, learning more about his family life, some of the stops that he's had along the way, what he's learned among those stops, and really just the mindset of why he does what he does. And when he talks about the sacrifice that, his wife and his family have to make, he works tirelessly. He is in the building dang near all day, and that's not going to stop. He's going to continue to keep working hard and trying to find ways for our team now to be put in successful positions. And he's very much driven by that. And when he says he loves to work, he truly loves to work. He loves football. He loves this game. He loves the players, and that's very evident in our meetings. And I think, when he's in front of our defense and our special teams players, as well as our offense, people are going to understand that the love is real, and that the want to win and the want to bring a trophy here to Western New York is real. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Not to oversimplify it, but why do you think he got the job?
I mean, again, just the personality that he has, the vision that he has, the way that he interviewed, he wasn't lying when it was a rigorous interview. It was intense. Some of those questions were uncomfortable to be in there and to listen to him. Again, I'm sitting there, I'm in a room with him for 2.5 years, 3 years, whatever it is. I'm his quarterback, and in his quarterback room, and to hear him have to answer some of these tough questions, and he handled them like a true professional. And again, he said it in his press conference, you don't get head coaching experience without being a head coach, right? So at some point, everyone that's been a head coach was a head coach for the first time at some point. And it's his time now. And I think the vision, the work ethic, his track record, you look at the offense in terms of, advanced analytics and statistics, it's constantly, 1, 2, 3 in dang near every category that's among the most important that help your team win football games.
Few fan bases in sports are as connected to a singular player as Bills fans are to you. I think with all of the last week or so, there's just been a panic about where you sit on the direction of the organization. If you could speak to the fans and where you're at, what would you say to them?
Yeah, that I was able to sit in these meetings at a unique perspective. But what I saw was an owner in Mr. Pagula and a family that is doing everything that they can to help this team win a Lombardi Trophy and bring a trophy here to Western New York. I see a GM that is as motivated as ever to do the same, and now I see a head coach that will relay this message to the team and to myself, to get everybody together and pulling in one singular direction. And I think that's what's needed. Is as much success we've had over the last 8 to 9 seasons, we still haven't been able to get the main job done. So again, what does that look like? Who's involved in those decisions of what it looks like? But I truly believe in the direction of this organization, starting from the top. And I think that again, whatever Joe needs from me, I'm going to do. And I think that it's the right decision for this organization.
What stood out about Coach Brady's offensive philosophies, and how do you expect him to challenge you as a quarterback as well as a leader?
Yeah, I mean, I think, again, he talked about it in his press conference. There's a way to win every game. And I guess understanding what those ways are at the beginning of the week, and to hear different perspectives throughout this interview process, we talked to a lot of different coaches, some bright minds, some guys that have been around the game for a long time, some newer minds too that have a fresh, unique perspective about this game as well. But making sure that everyone from training staff to weight room staff to sports science staff to equipment staff, everybody is in the right spots and giving their input when needed, and pulling together to ultimately help each player in this locker room be their best. And I think that's the number one thing that Joe wants is for everybody to go out there and play at the top of their level that they can. But there's so many different components that go into it that I don't think many people understand. But again, it takes everyone in this organization to do that. From the food that we put into our bodies to, like I said, sports science saying, hey, some guys are in the red today. We can't push them as much. Let's be smart about what we're doing. And I truly believe that Joe will be the catalyst to get everybody on the same page and working as one continuous movement.
Josh, what was it like for you to be a part of the process by listening to people maybe you had never met before and hearing things and just being in the room in those discussions?
No, it was really cool. I took a lot away from it, took a lot of notes, just understanding how maybe some other places do things from an organizational standpoint of how things are structured throughout the entire week, to ideas within offenses and defenses. what can we implement here, and again, to have kind of, you talk about Mr. Bagula and being in that meeting, but to have a guy that's in the locker room and the pulse of the locker room and to be that voice, I think it was really cool to understand, like, hey, what this guy is saying, it's real. Guys understand that, or being able, like, guys don't really care about that as much as they would think. So again, just to have any input there that helped them make the right decision, I felt like that was my responsibility in terms of understanding what the guys can adhere to and being the voice for them.
Are you
Involvement in that process. Your involvement in that process. How did that start? Was that you asking Brandon and Terry to be a part of it, or did they come to you?
They came to me. Again, my point is I'm the quarterback, right? I need to go out there and play my best and do whatever it takes to help win games. And it's, again, I'm still working on and trying to get better each and every day. But from their point of view, and this is like in most organizations, the quarterback is one of, if not the highest paid person in the building, right? So to have the hand-on experience in, like I said, the voice of the locker room and understanding the pulse and the vibe of guys, how would they mesh with certain candidates as their head coach? Like I said, it's been a unique perspective, but just for them to approach me and understand that I can be that for them, I don't take lightly, and I really appreciate them for allowing me to be a part of this process. Again, I didn't make any decisions. I just allowed them to maybe ask questions into a player's lens that maybe they wouldn't have had if I wasn't there.
Josh, you guys
Just
led the
some
league.
insight as to what maybe some of those questions that you brought up were, or just along this process with any of the candidates. What were the things that you needed to hear from whoever this organization was going to pick as the next head coach?
Yeah, I think just we talk a lot about vision. What do you see this version of the Buffalo Bills being? Whether it's scheduling of this is how guys feel about our schedule as it stands. Are we making any tweaks? I know Bean made that joke about eating lunch, but that's a real thing too. Like, when is lunch? Guys need to understand that because, whether it's before practice, after practice, you prepare differently, whether it's flights and just really, again, what players care about. How can players be their best when it comes down to Sunday, Monday, or Thursday, whenever we're playing, and having that point of view from myself that I could relay that information to them.
Josh, you guys led the league this year in run attempts. And I know part of that is because you take off and run. But as a quarterback, do you think moving forward now, and maybe it's a philosophy change that Sean's not here, but do you need to be throwing the ball more? Like maybe be fifth in run attempts, given you're the quarterback. I mean, do you need to be passing the ball more, do you think?
Again, it's tell me the situation of the game. Tell me who we're playing. Tell me, and I think Joe alluded to it. Again, our mindset is you're going to have to play us, right? So whether that means we're throwing more or we're going to say, hey, we're going to go into 13 personnel, we're going to run it until you stop it, right? And I think throughout each game there's a different vibe, a different flow that you have to understand and find out through that game. And you have a good idea before the game of what it's going to look like and what it's going to be until it's not. Right, so it's adjusting, it's adapting. Now, if I'm sitting here saying I love throwing the ball, don't get me wrong, I love completing the ball and pushing the ball downfield when those opportunities arise. And I think that again, putting our guys in the best spots to do that. But I couldn't sit here and tell you, the secret to success is being fifth in rush attempts, or it's being second, or it's being 32nd. I don't think we want to live in that world where it's just throw it on every single play. There is a fine, delicate balance to it, and in being able to run and pass and use the play action game off of that. But again, I think throughout each game, there's a different flow that you have to adjust to, and I think that's what we did this year.
Josh, being part of the decision-making process, every quarterback's coach has been elevated to the offensive coordinator. Now that stands to be Ron Curry's position. What are your thoughts about him being a part of that interview process?
Yeah, I love RC. I think he's helped out a lot in the quarterback room. The vibe that he has, the trust that he has in our guys. I couldn't tell you what that interview process is going to look like, but I've got so much love and respect for RC.
Josh, with your involvement in this being at a level that isn't maybe common around the league for a player, how much pressure comes along with that to make sure that this is the right hire for the team?
I don't really see it as that, to be honest. I don't see much pressure because I fully believe in who we hired. I fully believe in the direction that coach will take us. And again, it's always going to be my job to go out there and play quarterback to the best of my ability. And to have someone, again, that I trust, that I've been in the room with the last few years and understand, he's going to hold me to a very high standard. And I very much welcome that. I want that. And again, our number one goal here, I think, from top to bottom, is we want to win a Super Bowl, and whatever it takes to get it done is how we want it to look. So that's where we're aligned, and that's what we're going to try to do here.
Asked about the last 3 years, you guys on offense have had the ball late in games, a chance to tie or maybe take the lead and potentially win it, and have been unable to come through in those situations. Is there anything that has stood out to you in those situations that has led to that?
In terms of throughout the season or
No,
playoffs,
just in those
or
moments.
just the playoff moments?
Yeah, in those, the last drives against, in the 3 elimination games.
Yeah. Again, opportunities there that I have to be better. I take that upon myself, and I don't say that lightly. Hence to why I was so emotional after the game, because there's plays that just constantly go over in my mind. Still to this day, of just like, God, if I just get my feet a little bit better set here and throw this ball, it's on the money, and who knows what we're doing today. Maybe we're preparing for, a Super Bowl game. So that's never going to change. I'm going to continue to work on my process and continue to try to find ways to be the best quarterback that I can be. And that starts with getting my foot fixed, and now finding ways to, again, how can I get better mechanically? How do I get in with Joe and understand our offense into an even deeper level? And that's what I'm going to do.
There was, I'm sure you're well aware of it, but there was a lot of made about Keon Coleman from the news conference that happened last week. And I'm just wondering if you reached out to him. There's thoughts that, maybe he doesn't come back from that. What are your thoughts on that whole situation, or your perspective, if you can share?
He will come back from that. I'm not going to give up on Zero. He's got too much ability. And I will not give up on him. We're gonna work tirelessly, him and me, and as well as everybody else in this building, to make sure that whenever we step foot on the field, that we're gonna find ways to win football games, and he's gonna be a part of that.
Josh, how do you transition from, you've done it a couple times now with Ken, Joe went from quarterbacks coach to offensive coordinator, a guy that, it's a different role, now he's the head man, right? I guess the relationship there, I don't know if there's a right way to put it, but you're a little closer, now he's overseeing everything and more of the guy in charge, boss, so to speak. How does that go with the transition from a player?
Yeah, I mean, naturally it's going to change, right? We're going to probably see each other a little bit less throughout the building. Now, him as a play caller, still, we're gonna have to see each other a lot, and that's going to take more effort on both of our parts. I understand that he's going to have to be in the room with the defense. He's going to have to bounce around different position groups, and he did that this year as the offensive coordinator. But ultimately, it's me spending more time in his office and understanding, hey, this week, this is what we're calling. Why are we calling this? I have to understand why he's doing certain things. And he talked a lot about the situational football and making sure that I'm in sync with him. So I understand, too, when I'm on the field, of like, this is what I can expect moving forward.
Just one last one. What does your off season look like? You talk about becoming a dad, the recovery, all of that stuff. I know that's hard to plan as a fellow dad, but can you try and map some things out?
I mean, to the best of our abilities, but I've known this from well in advance. I've got siblings that have kids. I've got a lot of friends that have kids, and I don't know if you can plan too far in advance. So I'm very much looking forward to that with my wife, of becoming a dad. It's something that I will take with great pride. And we're gonna have to figure things out on the go, just like anything else. But this is the most important thing I'll ever be in my life, is being a dad. And I know I love being a football player, and I love being a quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, but I'm looking forward to this one.